Agreement to renew the state's motor vehicle compact with the Cherokee Nation took effect after months of negotiations. And last month, Principal Chief Chuck Hoskin Jr. signed new legislation that will soon provide high-speed internet for more than 6,000 Cherokee Nation households in rural communities. Joining us now to go over all of this and more is Chief Chuck Hoskin Jr. Good morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning. Thank you.
Chief, let's start first talking about the renewal of the motor vehicle compact with the state. We know it took effect on the 1st, and this comes after months of back and forth. Go over what the key provisions of this agreement are.
Well, the negotiations were challenging, but we got an agreement. And so here's what the main issue was. The main issue was whether we could protect what we call at-large Cherokee citizens in Oklahoma. That is Cherokees who live outside the Cherokee Nation who for more than a decade have enjoyed access to car tags issued by the Cherokee Nation. Now, the governor knew what I knew, which is that the Cherokee Nation doesn't have a legal right to issue tags to those citizens without a compact. So we needed a compact. The governor sort of used that as leverage to exact some concessions, but we also protected a lot. We protected the at-large Cherokees, so all at-large Cherokees in Oklahoma get access to tags. It gets even better. They can go to their local tag agent, state tag agent, or they can come to the Cherokee Nation. The other thing we did was we protected the framework that's generated about $258 million over the last couple of decades for things that people care about: public education, roads and bridges, and local law enforcement. That was important to the Cherokee Nation. That was all at risk if we did not reach an agreement. The economics have changed a bit. We had a special provision under Governor Fallon's leadership and my predecessor's leadership in which a major county that takes in part of Cherokee Nation, Tulsa County, was treated the same as the rest of the reservation for economic purposes. That generated a lot of dollars. Those dollars will decline as we go through what we call a grandfather period for those people that live in Cherokees that live in Tulsa County and some of those adjacent areas. But it's a win for everybody, because it keeps that framework in place, keeps generating money for things we all care about, and protects those at-large Cherokees living across the state of Oklahoma. So I think it's a win.
So you say you feel it's a win for everyone. You feel fully satisfied that the agreement addresses main concerns for both parties, especially regarding drivers' personal information and unpaid tolls?
I do. So the governor had all sorts of different figures that he threw out publicly. At one point, he said we owed $60 million, which was really outlandish. He came down to, I think, talking publicly about $11 million. We're paying $2 million. Now, Cherokee Nation never owed this money. Cherokee citizens, like other Oklahomans, have gone through the toll gate and not paid, or there's been some problem with the plate pay system. The real issue that we helped the state fix was something that was their own creation. Two agencies couldn't talk to each other. The Department of Public Safety, where we've always sent data so that police officers have a safe experience with our drivers when they pull them over, and the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority couldn't talk to each other under state law, not Cherokee law. We fixed that in the compact so that going forward, Cherokees will be charged a toll if they choose to go through the toll gate without a pike pass. Paying $2 million resolves what was a issue with unpaid tolls. So all those Cherokees who did not pay have those wiped out. But again, we went from $60 million claims by the governor down to $2 million. So I think we did well.
What do you feel that this agreement signifies for the future relationship between the Cherokee Nation and the state?
Well, I think it's a good sign anytime we can reach an agreement. Within the past year, we've reached two agreements with Governor Stitt. One was retail tobacco, and the other is car tag compact, which we're talking about. That puts it in place for a decade. That gets beyond his time in office, my time in office. He and I are both term limited. And I think it helps us get back to this idea that these issues are bigger than two leaders who might disagree from time to time. This issue is about what's in the best interest for Cherokee citizens who are Oklahomans, and how do we find that common ground? I think anytime we can achieve that, and especially when we get a win for public education, public safety, and roads and bridges, that gives us things to build on, and we sure need things to build on in this state.
All right, let's talk about the Cherokee Connect Broadband Initiative. You signed this legislation last month. Walk us through the project, what people can expect from this.
Well, this is exciting. People may not realize this, but in some parts of Oklahoma, just like in some parts of the country, particularly when it's a rural area, maybe historically an underinvested area, and where the terrain's not favorable to broad cell coverage, there are areas where there's just no good or reliable cell coverage. That is true across a lot of eastern Oklahoma. We're doing something about it. The private sector didn't come in and build towers in these areas over the last 50 years, 40 years, whatever time period we're talking about. So we have harnessed $45 million of our ARPA funds and some funds from the Federal Communications Commission to solve this problem across 16 communities. You mentioned 6,000 Cherokee households. Those are Cherokee households. Of course, there's a lot of other folks living in those areas. Here's why that matters. If you believe in rural Oklahoma, if you believe in small town Oklahoma, you got to believe in investing in it. You can't just talk about it. So this is an investment to preserve a lot of rural communities that we all say we care about. For us, it goes a little deeper. These communities, which are remote communities often in northeast Oklahoma, are where our people settled after removal, where our lifeways are still held dear, where there's a high concentration of fluent speakers. If we don't make these kind of investments, people may move away over the next few decades, and then we will have lost something that's irreplaceable. So it's all part of a long-term strategy to preserve the rural parts of the Cherokee Nation. You can't do that if they're not even caught up with the late 20th century, let alone the 21st century. So this investment, $45 million, is going to mean a lot to the folks that live there, and it means a lot to the nation.
Chief Hoskin, we are out of time, but I do quickly want to ask you about the Cherokee Nation withdrawing from the Tri-Council. If you could just kind of quickly tell us what this means for the tribe moving forward.
Sure. So Tri-Council has a body that's been around for a little while. It's the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. It's the United Cotulla Band of Cherokee Indians, and it's the Cherokee Nation. We would get together annually. The problem is that the UKB, which was created by Congress in the late 1940s, tries to claim Cherokee Nation's history. They can make that argument all they want. We just didn't think they should make it on our dime at an annual event, which just gives them a free platform to sort of club us with a phony history. We'll still work with those tribes, and we do all the time. We just pulled out of a organization that really wasn't doing anyone any good, and so we'll continue to work with those tribes in other forums.
All right, Chief Chuck Hoskin Jr., thank you so much for joining us this morning. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. Thank you.